Hey everyone! So from the moment that you click on this video, I know that you're all going to start analysing me. Have I had a nose job? Am I really 42? Have I had just a really great facelift? Neither of those. I've had a breast reduction. Actually I've had two. And if you want to go into the reasoning behind that, there's a much more eloquent and well written and well rehearsed post up on my blog which goes through the reasons behind it, but mainly the reasons were that I couldn't button my blouses up. When I was at work, my blouses would fly open in front of a customer. That was pretty awkward considering I'm holding 2 plates of food. You can't really do anything to do up your shirt. I was getting backaches and pain in my lower back, so also there was no underwear. It was just all hideous and it made me feel really ungainly and really unattractive. Gave me a really low opinion of myself. So yeah, that's like the basic reasoning behind it, but actually I just wanted to talk to you a bit about my experience. So if you don't know what the procedure is, for those who are interested in getting a breast reduction done, what they do is they cut around the nipple and areola, and if I've ended up on a fetish site for saying the word nipple on YouTube, I'll say it again. I'll go for the hat trick nipple. Let's go for 3 times. I don't really care. But what they do is they cut around and then they cut vertically down the centre of the breast, and then if you're having quite a lot taken out, you will have the scar that goes under the curve of your breast as well. That's called the anchor scar because it looks like an anchor. It's not particularly pretty. The first time I had my surgery done, I didn't end up with that scar because the surgeon said that I didn't need it. Because I'm quite young and I'm quite lucky, my skin and my genes have meant that I've actually got quite good perky boobs. And she was actually quite surprised. She's like, no, you don't need an uplift at all. So I felt quite lucky. Unfortunately, that was to the detriment of my operation, which is why I ended up with a second one, because she didn't do the scar underneath, she couldn't take enough tissue out, and I ended up pretty much the same size as I was before I went into surgery. So the whole operation takes about 2.5 hours. You will be in hospital overnight, which isn't too bad. It was alright for me. I mean, I was lucky, I was incredibly fortunate in that I was able to go privately. So for me, I had my own room, and I had my own TV, and I could just basically kick back and ignore everything. But I'll let you know of the risks. One of the risks is obviously permanent scarring. I know in a lot of my videos I've mentioned surgery, scars, bio oil, things like that. This is exactly what I'm referring to. The scars are pretty ugly. I mean, I've had surgery in the same area before when I found a huge lump when I was 18. So the surgeon examined that before I went in just to see that I scarred like a normal person, and indeed I do. But that doesn't take away from, this is a huge operation and the scars are pretty industrial. I mean, I had my last operation, my final one, last August, and my scars are still pretty impressive, I have to say. Another risk is that there could be a loss of nipple sensitivity. That's because they have to move the whole thing, and the way that my surgeon described it, it's like a mushroom. They have to move the whole thing, either shunt it, they have to kind of shunt it up, and they may damage the nerve or disconnect the nerve in that case, so you may lose sensitivity. The other problem is that you may not be able to breastfeed after you have the operation. That's because they may take out a lot of tissue and they may also damage a nerve. So those are things to bear in mind. Other things, thrombosis, which is when you get a blood clot in your vein, which is rare but can happen, and also bruising, swelling and infection. But other than that, the risks are pretty comprehensive for any surgery. really. But what I will say is that it's actually more dangerous to take stuff out of your body that belongs to your body than it is to insert stuff in that doesn't belong to your body, like an implant, say. So I always found that quite interesting. So it's probably time to talk about size. I started out as a 32 double G. That's quite hefty. I am 5'1" and a bit. I am quite short, and it was starting to get frustrating that I'd have to buy clothes in a completely different size to what I am, or what I should be, just to be able to do the buttons up, or to be able to... I had to buy bikini tops that were several sizes too big for me just to accommodate my ginormous knockers. So I'll talk about my final size at the end, I think. I think a few of you will probably ask about Kiwi's opinion. I couldn't have asked for a more accepting boyfriend at this point, really. I was going through like a bit of a self-confidence crisis, and Kiwi was basically there all the way, just saying, you know, you don't have to get this done, but if you get it done, I'm still gonna find you attractive, I'm still gonna love you anyway. So that was probably the thing that kept me going, because it just drove me forward. I mean, his opinion was important to me, but not so important that it would stop me from getting what I wanted. However, in the back of my mind I was worried that, you know, he'd just go off me and think I was, you know, I don't know, not as attractive as he thought I used to be, I don't know. But the hospital experience, it was pretty comfortable. Coming out of surgery, I don't remember a hell of a lot. I remember that as soon as you get out of surgery, and you're still drifting in and out of anaesthetic, they basically manhandle you into the sports bra, and you're going to wear that sports bra for 6 to 8 weeks afterwards. And that's not especially comfortable after you're literally swollen up like watermelons. But I remember sleeping a lot. The worst bit actually was the blood drains. If you go to my blog, there'll be a picture of me holding them. They're basically bottles about this big, and there's a tube, and it goes all the way into your armpit, or like just below your armpit. You have to carry those around all the time. You want to go to the loo, you have to pick them up and trot over. And the amount of times I dropped them and literally froze because I thought the blood was just going to crash out of them, splatter everywhere. Yeah, sorry if this is a bit graphic for some of you, but I did manage to sit on one of the tubes and disconnect them and thought I was bleeding to death at one point, which absolutely ridiculous. The worst part actually was having those removed, because the nurse comes along, because they're stitched in, she'll pull at the stitches, and that's really uncomfortable, and then you start to dread what happens next, and she pulls this tube out of your body, and the reason the drains are there is to take away excess fluid and blood from the site of the operation, so that, you know, you don't swell up too much and you don't bruise too much and things like that. And so she's pulling out this tube, and then the first one she pulled out came out with a whistle and a kind of foot sound, and I just went white. I am not squeamish, but I went white and had to sit up with like the window open and just breathing, because that, oh, I never want to do that again. That was awful. But otherwise, in terms of pain is a very subjective thing, but I will tell you, I took paracetamol. That's it. I took paracetamol. I was given codeine and I was given paracetamol. I took paracetamol. In terms of difficulties, showering, carrying, doing things, you're not allowed to get your dressings wet, so you can't really shower for like a week and a half until your dressing's taken off. Kiwi had to wash my hair with a jug like a child over the side of the bathtub, and I had to sleep propped up on loads of pillows, because if I didn't I'd get stuck like a tortoise on my back, waving my arms and legs around, because sitting up is quite difficult. In fact, your whole body will ache for about 4 days, and you'll feel really like you've done a really intense workout, apart from the fact that, you know, your boobs have been cut open. But when they took the dressing off, the first time I actually burst into tears. I was so disappointed. So the first time I went from a 32 double G to a 32E, which was pointless for me. I went in, I took my dad in, and my dad, the pit bull, basically said, "My daughter's not satisfied, give her another operation." And they were like, okay. So I went in again, and I'd actually asked for a 32C originally, and I ended up, as I am now, with a 32DD. And that's okay. I'm not happy, but at the end of the day, I've not had children yet, so if I ever decide to have children, even though I don't like children at all, I can have it done after that. But if you have any questions, or if there's anything I've not answered, feel free to post a comment below. I've disabled ratings on this video because I'm extremely nervous about posting it up, so hopefully you found it useful, educational maybe, and yeah, I'll see you for a review at some point. Bye!